the coughing has begun. You're going to have to bear with me, okay? So, now, think about the earlier number. 12 or more civilians killed every single day of his administration. So you wake up today, and I know a lot of Americans look and go, oh my God, what did he tweet today? And sometimes it's very serious, sometimes it's light, and we laugh at what an idiot our president is. But every day that you wake up, understand that Trump has authorized through his actions 12 more innocent civilians killed in Syria and Iraq. Every day. The next day, another 12. The next day, another 12. Those are the numbers that we've gotten. So how did we get here? Well, as the Daily Beast reports, to give you one more sense of context for how bad it can be at any particular time. In one well-publicized incident in Mosul, the U.S. admits it was responsible for killing more than 100 civilians in a single strike during March. But hundreds more have died from coalition attacks and the chaos of fighting there. So, that one we admit. We say, oh, yeah, no, those numbers are accurate. We killed 100 at one time. Oops! What difference does it make? We promised that we'd kill their families. There they are. I mean, maybe they're related. Who cares? Okay. If they care, they're certainly not showing any evidence that they do. So how do we get here? In one of his first moves as president, Trump ordered a new counter-ISIS plans to be drawn up. Second on his list of requests were recommended, quote, changes to any United States rules of engagement and other United States policy restrictions that exceed the requirements of international law regarding the use of force against ISIS. So what does that mean? Well, Daily Beast actually did a great job of summarizing. This is what they said. In short, Trump was demanding that the Pentagon take a fresh look at protections for civilians on the battlefield, except those specifically required by international law. That represented a major shift from decades of U.S. military doctrine, which has generally made central the protection of civilians in war. So, in other words, we have now changed the rules and said, that's it, have at it, Hoss. So don't worry about the protection of civilians. Do the bare minimum to protect civilians. Let's go get them. And if a lot of civilians die along the way, they're not U.S. civilians, who cares? They're grandma, grandpa's babies, whatever. Remember when Trump pretended to care about the beautiful babies in Syria? When Assad had, we think, had killed him doing that chemical strike? He's like, oh, the beautiful babies. How about all the ones we're killing? Who cares? Let's go kill their families. Okay, Larry Lewis is Joint Civilian Casualty Study lead analyst. He says, if we're losing opportunities to hit ISIS because we're nervous about civilian casualties, if it is not required by law, then we're saying, really look at it hard. Now, so he appears to be supporting Trump's policies, going, hey, listen, man, I mean, if I miss an opportunity to hit an ISIS guy a couple of houses away, because I was worried about 11 family members sitting there having dinner and with their kids, and I was concerned about their life, well, then I'm not going to be able to hit ISIS hard enough. And by the way, that will be persuasive to some right-wingers. They'll say, I mean, what are you going to do, man? I mean, you got to murder some families to get ISIS, right? I think there is another way, and certainly Obama, who I thought was doing way too much of it, was not doing it anywhere near this degree, because he was telling the generals, hey, be careful, because when you go to kill civilians, not only is it morally repugnant and what we accuse ISIS of doing, but it also is counterproductive. So a former State Department official is going to explain why it's counterproductive. He said, we have spent a long time advancing the idea that preventing civilian casualties is not only a moral imperative, it's also an operational one. These lessons come directly from our military's counterinsurgency experiences in Afghanistan and are endorsed by members of our military at some of the highest levels. But so far, we haven't seen or heard anything that shows that President Trump understands that. And in fact, of course, we've seen the opposite. And General Mattis, who's now the defense secretary, gave a speech saying that they are going to do an annihilation of ISIS. Look, if you could just annihilate ISIS, great. That's what we want you to do. Nobody's against that. But apparently, his directions were taking a little broader. The month after Mattis delivered the new plan, U.S.-led forces likely killed more civilians than in the first 12 months of coalition strikes combined. So, the first month, more than the whole previous year, Because they're like, civilians, so what difference does it make? Look, it is in their actions and their words. He says, we're going to kill their families. Then they go kill their families. They more than quadruple the number of civilians killed. You kill more civilians in 1 month than coalition had done in a whole year. Well, and then here's a CENTCOM spokesperson. Was on the phone with the Hill. They had to walk this one back because it seemed a little too politically incorrect. But he identified himself as a spokesperson for CENTCOM and told a reporter this. President Trump said prior that once he gets in, he's going to kick the SHIT out of the enemy. That was his promise, and that's exactly what we're doing. Well, but okay, show me body counts of ISIS fighters. Okay, but what we've got here is body counts of civilians. So that's not kicking the SHIT out of anything other than innocent people. And then what do you think their family members are going to do? Are they more likely to be on our side or their side? Human rights groups that are so concerned about what ISIS is doing to the local population, they've been interviewing the people who were able to escape places like Raqqa for years. And normally the things they go, oh, thank God I got rescued, I got out of there. ISIS was killing our family, oppressing it, and all the horrors that they talked about. And then they were running out of food and water. Now, when those same human rights groups talk to the survivors of Raqqa and other cities in the area, and especially in Iraq, Raqqa's in Syria, Mosul's in Iraq. Excuse me. Those same survivors say, yeah, the starvation was bad, and oh my God, it was brutal under ISIS. But the worst thing was the American airstrikes, because as we were about to leave, a bunch of our family members got blown up. They're dead now. So, it doesn't solve your problem. Sometimes it makes it worse. So, how is this being enforced? And one last example. Lieutenant General Stephen J. Townsend says proudly, we shoot every boat we find. Okay, guys, sorry. It's going to be a rough week. Okay, maybe we'll do a poll later in the week. Should Jenks stop showing up? Anyway, so if you think, well, that's every boat we find that's an enemy boat, well, they had it coming. That's great. That's how we're talking about annihilation of ISIS. Well, let's find out what's actually happening. Air Wars has documented numerous civilians reported killed in recent weeks as they had attempted to flee Raqqa by way of the river. Shortly after Townsend's remarks, Raqqa's being silently slaughtered, that's another human rights group, reported that at least 27 people in Raqqa had recently been killed attempting to fetch water around the Euphrates. So if you don't use human judgment anymore, you don't use your mind, and you don't use morality, and you say, just bomb every boat, bomb everyone by the river, who cares? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to bomb people getting water? You're going to bomb people fleeing? And yes, you're going to kill a lot more civilians. Yes, you're going to kill a lot more families, but they're not going to be terrorist families. They're people who were just trying to barely survive in Raqqa or get the hell out of Raqqa because they hate ISIS and want to run away from it. And as they were bravely trying to do that, the last thing they saw was a U.S. bomb dropping on their heads and killing everyone on board. So if this is your idea of getting tough with ISIS, okay. Well, I guess you're comfortable, and you think every morning that you get up, yes, another 12 innocent civilians killed today. Trump's in charge. But if you think, yes, there is a deep moral problem with that, yes, we're supposed to be better than our enemies, and yes, this is not a smart strategy for how you defeat ISIS and gain the support of the local population, well then, this is a very disconcerting news. Okay, now, one more story for you guys in this hour. Okay, we're not the only guys screwing up across the world. We got a story of a guy who's a bit of a lunatic. Okay. Unfortunately, he's also a world leader. Let me tell you about it. So, the leader of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, was randomly on HBO's sports program, Real Sports HBO. Why? It turns out he likes MMA fighting. So, shocking. This guy loves it, and he's always doing exercise videos where, you know, he's Putin style, sometimes shirtless, etc., and bragging about his body and running around with other guys with their shirts off. Okay, so but at the same time, he's been charged with horrible record on gay people in Chechnya, including killing them, torturing them, etc. So David Scott, the reporter for HBO here, did a great job. Asked him about it. And he said, how about the alleged roundup, abduction, and torture of gay men in Chechnya? And Kadyrov said, turns off camera and goes, why did he come here? What's the point of these questions? Well, the point of the questions is that you're a terrible guy, and you might have done some hideous and perhaps homicidal things. I think at the end of a fun interview about MMA, it might be fair to ask about that. So they did. Here's the result.
Это ерунда. У нас таких людей нету. Нету у нас геев. Если есть, заберите в Канаду, хвала Аллаху, подальше от нас, чтобы очистили кровь там. Если есть таких, пусть забирают там.
But do you not get concerned when you read these accounts of young men who say they've been tortured for days and delivered to their families in sacks? Does it concern you as a matter of law and order in the Republic when you hear these stories?
Это придумали, они шайтаны, они поддажные, они не люди. И будьте они прокляты за то, что они на нас наговаривают. Они перед Всевышним все равно ответят за это.
They're slandering us, he says. So presumably he's saying none of these charges are true because it's slander. But so do you discriminate against gays? I mean, they're the devil and they're not humans. I can't believe they would say we're discriminating against them. What do you mean? Not noticing the irony of his answer at all. Does that guy seem like the kind of guy you trust is doing right by the LGBT population in Chechnya? And of course, preposterous things like, we don't have any gays here. Now, to be fair, I had mentioned earlier that there's a lot of pictures of him with guys. So if I'm going to claim that, I should prove it to you. And there's nothing wrong with this, but let's just take a look here at picture 67 here. And some of these are after a workout. Some are just good friends. So let's, okay, all right. And then his bestest friend. This is my favorite picture of all time in regards to this. Look at him like, oh, Daddy. Daddy, can I snuggle up to you after he's been giving medals for what he's done? Okay, now let's. It gets worse, though, believe it or not. He went on to say, America is conducting an anti-Russian policy against the country's leadership. They know that I'm ready to give my life for Russia, and that I have a good army capable of attacking and defending. We'll see how things go for everyone. That does not sound good. Is Chechnya threatening war with us? What kind of an insane guy is this? So, and it's weird. You would think that, he's Muslim. A Muslim foreign leader threatens us in that way, but Trump hasn't said anything. That's super weird. And I thought that there was nobody better for the gays than Trump. I don't know why he's not taking action here. There's reports of people that are missing, gone. They're worried that they were tortured, killed. And here's a Muslim leader saying that he's going to threaten us even worse in a second here. And yet I haven't heard a word from the Trump administration. That's interesting. He says, we have a strong government and are a nuclear state. Even if our government was completely destroyed, our nuclear missiles would be automatically deployed. We will put the whole world on its knees and screw it from behind. I mean, it was horrific in the beginning. This guy is talking about launching nukes against the U.S. This is mental. Okay, and then he goes, oh, and by the way, there are no gays here, but we will screw you from behind. I don't quite know what that means, but, could mean one of several things. Okay. Isn't it amazing what we choose to focus on and not focus on? So here's a leader of Chechnya, within Russia, who's, Chechnya is mainly Muslim population, again, within Russia, and he's saying, hey, we got nukes, we'll destroy you. North Korea, we talk about a lot, I think rightfully so. ISIS, we can't stop talking about. Here's a guy with nukes saying, I will use them against you. Nary a peep, okay? Well, you say he's a clown. Well, okay, I agree with you, he is a clown. But there's credible charges that he's murdering gay people, his own citizens, right now. What do we say about ISIS? Muslims murdering people like Yazidis and different ethnicities and gay people, throwing them off of roofs. We got to go invade. Now, what do you mean? I don't want to invade Russia, and I got no interest in going to Chechnya in any way, shape, or form. But it is curious that the government thinks, yeah, whatever. I choose to focus on other things. I don't choose to focus on this guy at all. And the media largely goes along, and it's a little laugh about what he's going to do to people from behind. And then we're done with it. And if you're gay in Chechnya, God help you, because nobody else is going to, it looks like. All right, sad state of affairs. When we come back, Trump's poll ratings, why are they so low, but why has it had no effect? I think I've got a good theory on that. And Bernie Sanders is attacked, and so is his wife. Gee, I wonder if I'll defend them. But no, we'll look into the substance, and you'll get to see for yourself whether there's any validity or not. Okay, we'll be right back.
I just shot a clip. It's time sensitive and it needs to be edited.
Did anybody call for an editor?
Need this in an hour.
You're an editor too.
Fuck you.
I want to do a quick announcement before we get on to the stories because I think it's important and I want to encourage you guys to go. All right, so TYT will be at Politicon this year. The dates are July 29th and the 30th, and I'm actually extremely excited. In the past, when I've done Politicon events, it's always been panels. Last year I did that panel with a number of anti-Bernie Sanders people, and of course it was a lot of fun because I was the only one on there that supported Bernie. But this year we're going to be debating people. Debates are going to happen.
Can I just say, if you missed Politicon last year, that was a mistake. Because Anna's panel alone was worth the price of admission because they love balance. They love talking to the press about balance, right?
Right.
But all of a sudden, there was only one Bernie Sanders supporter and wall-to-wall Hillary Clinton supporters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Including a lot of the people you see on TV. And she mauled. The entire crowd was on your side. But look, it's not just that you kicked ass. It's not that just the crowd was on your side. It's that if the crowd, even if it's unfair because the crowd is all Bernie Sanders, then maybe you should have a couple of Bernie Sanders panelists.
Right.
But they didn't need it because they had Anna.
Well, it was a fun discussion, and I really enjoyed it. But this year is also going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get involved in a number of debates. Cenk, who are you debating?
Oh boy, here we go. Buckle up, everybody. You asked for it, you're going to get it. Ben Shapiro. Okay.
Bloop, 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 bloop. All right.
Right wingers have been asking for quite some time. Come and see.
All right. And I will be debating Ann Coulter.
Damn.
Ann versus Anna. Anna versus Ann. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. And Hassan will also be there, and he is also debating someone who is a millennial who is very much against millennials. Like, that's his whole shtick. So that should be a lot of fun as well.
That ought to be great. Woke Bay versus Sleepy Bay.
Anyway, you guys can get your tickets by going to politicon.com/TYT. Politicon.com/TYT. It takes place in Pasadena, California. We really hope to see you guys there, so definitely check it out.
And if you're watching this as a video on YouTube or Facebook, we'll have the link down below for you guys.
Alright, we got a graphic incoming. Putting up 3, 2, 1. Alright. Video next. And next video. And power panel. And dropping it.
on the Young Turks. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur. Yeshua Espaila says, I don't know who's manning Cenk's mic, but that dude is super on point when it comes to cutting it just before every cough. So nice job, Bart. And yes, I still have a cough drop in my mouth. Anyway, Dr. Chaos MD writes in, Trump is desperate to show up Obama in any way he can, which includes killing more civilians. Unfortunately, that might be true. Captain Jinglepants says, wow, nothing makes me feel worse about having it easy in America, like hearing we kill 12 civilians a day in another country. And remember, that's just in that ISIS conflict. There's other places we're bombing throughout the world as well, let alone our support for Saudi Arabia and the atrocities they're doing in Yemen. Okay.
I just want to point out, HBM did also say, as I told Jake during the break, please tell Jake to stop coughing. He should just raise his arms above his head. Is it true? Is it going to work? Is he going to do it?
Well, whether I'm going to do it is a different question. So I'm not buying him. We'll see. You know what? Fine. Next time I'm coughing, I'll try it. Okay, but we'll see if it works or not. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go to the Trump poll next. Okay. New poll results are in from an ABC Washington Post poll on Donald Trump, and they are disastrous. Americans give President Donald Trump the lowest 6-month approval rating of any president in polls dating back 70 years. That is the history of polling. The most unpopular president at the 6-month mark ever, for as long as we've been keeping records. Just 36% of Americans polled in a new ABC News Washington Post poll approve of Trump's job performance, down 6 points from his 100-day mark, itself a low. So the 100-day mark was the worst ever. The 6-month mark is the worst ever, but it's even lower than the 100-day mark. So 36 points is terrible for a politician. Terrible. Now, I'll give you some context here. Here's all the recent presidents they're referring to and their popularity and lack of popularity. There's only, here, let's show that next graph. There's only 3 that are underwater. So you see like Truman and Kennedy and even Lyndon Johnson, very popular, enormously popular in their first 6 months. The 3 that are underwater are Trump, Clinton in his first term, and Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford was then 3 points away in popularity from Donald Trump. That's because he just pardoned Nixon and everyone hated him. Okay, Nixon had done Watergate and he's like, whatever, he made me vice president, I'm pardoning him. And Trump is lower than that guy. Okay, so how does Trump respond to this? First of all, obviously, with a tweet. So he says, the ABC Washington Post poll, even though almost 40% is not bad at this time, was just about the most inaccurate poll around election time. Okay, so let's get this right, guys. First of all, it's not almost 40%, it's 36%. So what is the almost? Like, second of all, when you have to say you're almost at 40% in a popularity rating if you're a politician, you're in bad shape, okay? So, second of all, is it true or not true? And you say, like, for 40%, not bad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, almost 40, it's not 40 at all. But anyway, okay, well, that indicates that you think it's true. So why are you saying it's inaccurate? By the way, if you actually care about reality, ABC Washington Post poll has been pretty good, actually. It's been among the better polls and had Hillary Clinton winning the popular vote by about 4. She won it by 2%. It was among the more accurate counts of the popularity results. So he's not right about that either. Okay, but these things are provable. Look, if you think you're a Trump fan, just go online, see if who's telling the truth and who's not about whether ABC and Washington Post poll have been accurate or not. You're not going to do that because you're I just want to listen to the dear leader. Okay, anyway, so why is he so unpopular, and why can't the Democrats take advantage of it? Well, first of all, let's look at Russia, because that's the leading topic that the Democrats push and the media pushes. And there, we do have some bad news for Trump. 63% in this poll, produced for ABC News by Langer Research Associates, say it was inappropriate for Trump's son, son-in-law, and campaign manager to have met with a Russian lawyer during the campaign. That's a pretty bad number, 63%. 6 in 10 also think Russia tried to influence the campaign, and among those who say so, 67% think Trump aides helped. Similar results in April. So, 60% of Americans roughly believe, yeah, the Russians were trying to help Trump. And of that 60%, another 2/3 of that group says, yeah, the Trump aides were looking for Russian help. So that's it. That's why he's unpopular, right? Well, hold the phone, because there's another wrinkle to that side that makes it a lot less clear. As a combined total, the number of Americans who both think that the Russians tried to influence the campaign and that Trump aides helped is 41%. Very similar to the 40% who don't think Russia was involved or are unsure about it. So, yeah, they think that a lot of folks think that Donald Trump Jr. shouldn't have done that meeting. They think that maybe Russia was trying to help Trump overall. But when you get to the bottom line of, hey, look, is this an important thing? Do you think that Russia and Trump colluded? Well, the country split. It's not 36-58. I mean, he's losing by 22 points overall. So that question is split. So it doesn't look like Russia's actually doing the damage. So the reason the Democrats harp on Russia is not necessarily because it works that well. As you can see, the polling indicates, no, the country's split on it. It's not particularly effective in attacking Trump. They do it because it's safe. You can just say, Russia, boo. That way they don't have to talk about policy, because their donors would be annoyed if they talked about increasing the minimum wage or going to Medicare for all. So they don't hurt their donors, and they try to get voters in a cheap way. Now, by the way, I also think there's a huge problem in the collusion. I think it is real. The Donald Trump Jr. story showed that in a lot of ways. But what you can do is you can do an investigation of that without harping on it nonstop, thinking that it's good politics. Because as I've told you all along, I don't think it's great politics. But for the reasons of truth, you should pursue it. So if it's not Russia, what is it? Why is Trump polling so low? Well, first of all, they don't have a great impression, Americans, of his confidence. They say just 38% say he's making significant progress towards his goals. 55% think he's not. So that's not a good number. They think you're not getting anything done. Okay. Now, how about strength? Now, you'd think Trump is always talking about, oh, I'm strong, I'm going to make a strong move, right? No, apparently I don't think he's very strong at all. In his relationship to the world, I'll show you the next graph here. Under Trump, U.S. world leadership has gotten stronger is only 27%. 46% think that we have gotten weaker under Trump. 27 to 46. And 23% say about the same. So if you're a leader that prides yourself on strength, those are miserable numbers. So, okay, not confident, not strong. How's he doing on the world stage overall? Let's go to that graph. As you look here, it says, Trump, do you trust Trump to negotiate on U.S.'s behalf with other world leaders? 34% say we trust them more. 66% say we trust them less. Terrible numbers. We do not trust them to negotiate on our behalf. Remember, his whole thing was, art of the deal, man, I'm the best negotiator. Well, 2/3 of Americans think you kind of suck at it. So these are significant problems, and we haven't even gotten to the mother lode yet. And the mother lode is healthcare. So, on his party's signature campaign issue, healthcare, Americans by a 2-to-1 margin prefer Obamacare over the Republican plan to replace it. 50 to 24%. Another quarter either wants something else entirely, 17%, or undecided, 9%. By the way, that 17% number, I'm surprised is not larger, because it's so easy to go, I don't like Obamacare or the Republican plan. Right? Give me something magical that's better. And by the way, maybe it's not magical. Maybe there's something like Medicare for all that is much, much better. And in fact, polls at 58%, better than either one of the plans. But overall, no, most people have made up their mind. They're like, look, I don't know about the other plans. I do know that Obamacare is way better than the Republican proposal. 50 to 24. A giant lead for Obamacare. What happened, Republicans? I thought Obamacare was terrible. I thought the American people hated Obamacare. No, it turns out they hate you way, way worse. But still, the Democratic Party doesn't win anything. Look, one more thing on policy, and I'll tell you why the Democrats are not winning. Medicaid versus taxes. The Republican plan cuts Medicaid by over $700 billion. And lucky for rich people, it gives it in tax cuts to the rich. So the American people, do they agree with that idea? Well, let's take a look at this next graph. So what's more important for the federal government to do? 63% say provide coverage for low-income Americans. Not just even middle class. Just for low-income Americans. 63%. Only 27% say cut taxes. And that question did not say cut taxes on the rich, did not say cut taxes on big business, it just said cut taxes. And even so, only 27% chose that. The Republicans do not stand for what Americans believe in. Not remotely close. The only thing that Trump is doing okay on, and this is very relevant to his rankings, my God, when this goes south, how low can Trump go? So the only thing he does okay on is what's the state of the economy? And there, by a margin of, here, let's take a look at this, 43 to 41, they approve of his handling of the economy. But there's also a big number there that's not sure. That's still waiting. The jury's out. Well, that number is the correct one, the folks that are saying the jury's out. Look, the economy is not in shambles right now, so fair is fair. So I think that 43-41 makes some degree of sense. Now, is it because of what Trump has done? No, he's riding off of what Obama has done so far. About a year from now, we'll see what Trump has done after he's had about 18 months in office. My guess is that'll be an even worse disaster. And he's going to the 20s. I said literally from day one, he's going to the 20s in popularity. If the economy gets ripped apart, he might go in the teens. He might get the Chris Christie numbers. So the fact that the economy is not falling apart, again, largely because he hasn't been able to change what Obama's done in 6 months. And Obama had added 15 million jobs. That's why he's barely hanging in there. But yet, the Republicans have won every special election. Now, I know they're mainly in Republican districts, and that's, of course, very relevant. But you would think that they would have been able to pull out 1 or 2 victories like the one in North Georgia. Hillary did better than the Democratic candidate in the special election in that district. What the hell's going on? And by the way, one more thing that's devastating for the Republicans and Trump. So the Republicans overwhelmingly still approve of Trump, about 82% or so. Democrats overwhelmingly hate Trump. His approval is like 11% with Democrats. How about independents? See, that's the most important thing. You want to win elections, you got to keep independents. So maybe he's holding independents. No, he's not. Independents' popularity rating for Trump is only 32%. They don't like him. That's less than a third of the independents that like him. That is a guaranteed formula for disaster and electoral loss. And that Trump's not up again until 2020, if he makes it that far. But you did have the special elections at the national level. The Democrats won none of them. So what is going on? There's only one graph that explains it. It's right here. So the Democratic Party stands for what? For people saying, they stand for something. By the way, it's just something, anything. Only 37% of the country thinks that. 52% say the Democratic Party stands just against Trump. That's all they are. They're an empty party, and they oppose Trump because they're on the opposite side. Only a little bit more than a third of the country thinks that they stand for anything at all. So the biggest ally Trump has is the Democratic Party. If it wasn't for his miserable failure of opponents, he'd get crushed. On the day of the election, his popularity wasn't any better. It was 37%. How could a guy sitting at 37% win an election? That's because his opponents are the only people in the country that are worse. Democratic Party, it is so clear what you have to do. If you actually care about winning electorally, and much more importantly, winning on policy, but you don't care about those things. You know what you do. You pound on healthcare. You ask for higher minimum wage so that people who are working really hard, can actually make a decent living. You look out for people that want to have the American dream for their kids. You do the free education for college. You would do all these things that are enormously popular. And look at how popular Medicaid is, let alone Medicare for all, which is sky high in popularity. Yet, Democratic leaders, where are you? With the exception of Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and a couple of others in the Senate, and now 130 some odd congressmen in the House, now the Justice Democrats and the National Nurses United pushed a petition asking for it. Only those guys are for Medicare for all, but the leadership, nowhere to be found. Yes. One more sec. Good old Marco Rubio. Anyway, okay. So, if you were looking for why Donald Trump and the Republicans are not getting killed in the ballot box yet, you have your answer. It's the establishment Democratic Party leadership. Look, I believe that the current Democratic incumbents should be primaried. I think that their record of failure is record-breaking. They lost to Donald Trump. They've lost the House, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and 69 out of 99 state legislatures. They almost literally cannot get any worse. So, but when we go and say there should be primaries of Democrats, they say, why are you trying to hurt the Democratic Party? Are you insane? These are the people hurting the Democratic Party. They can't find a way to beat a horribly incompetent, greatly disliked president like Donald Trump. So if Democratic Party as it exists today, if you can't do the job, for God's sake or for the country's sake, step aside, Butch. Step aside. You know what my answer is. It's justicedemocrats.com. Go to justicedemocrats.com/win and become part of the effort, man. Because if you let these Democrats run against the Republicans again, they're the only people in the country who could lose to Trump and these Republicans who are greatly disliked. So, look, if you got a better answer, have at it, Hoss. I'm all for it. The only thing we know now is Trump is in a terrible shape. And the only thing worse than Trump, according to the American people, both at the ballot box and to some degree in the polls here, is the current establishment of the Democratic Party. Stand for something. If you're going to be a progressive or pretend to be a progressive, at least act like it and show us that you're going to fight for progressive priorities. If not, step aside and let real progressives fight against these Republicans, and we'll show you what we can do. JusticeDemocrats.com. Okay. Okay, now let's go to another piece of Trump hypocrisy. The Trump administration likes to do these different themes. They do, the themes for manufacturing week, etc. So this week's a different week. Let's go to find out what it is. The White House announced that it would hold a Made in America week to highlight the president's America First policy. Well, that's great. Well, let's go to Trump, both during the campaign and right after he got into office, talking about this issue.
I'll be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. I'll take them back from China, from Japan, from Mexico. We're here today to celebrate American engineering and American manufacturing. We're also here today to celebrate jobs. Jobs. We have a very big push on to have auto plants and other plants, many other plants. You're not being singled out, Mary, I promise. But you have a lot of plants from a lot of different items built in the United States. And it's happening. It's happening bigly.
It's happening bigly. Well, let's check in on the progress of that and see how it's going. Mark Knoller asked the question about this week. He said, asked if the Made in America campaign will influence an end to Trump brand products made abroad. Official says, quote, oh, I will get back to you. In other words, no. So we checked into it. Trump shirts are not made in America. They are made in China. China's killing us on trade. They're killing us on trade. What do they do? We got to stop that. Anyway, Trump shirts are made in China, Bangladesh, Honduras, and Vietnam. I don't believe those are American states. Okay, his suits are made in Indonesia and Mexico. The eyeglasses, who's got Trump eyeglasses on? God help you. I hope you're not on the road. Anyway, made in China. He has Trump Home. Those are items in your home made in China, Turkey, and India. And everything in this hotel is pens, toiletries are, come on, that's his pride. They're the jewel of the Trump empire. Yeah, no, they're made in Taiwan and China. And how about Ivanka's products? China, Indonesia, Vietnam, India, Bangladesh, and Ethiopia. So, what happened? I thought we were going to make everything in America. This week is Made in America week. And Trump goes, it doesn't matter. My own voters are so stupid. I'll make all my stuff abroad, and I'll tell people that I care about Made in America. You think that even, beforehand, okay, he's running for president, he's a scam artist, so he's telling you that he's going to bring the jobs home. And remember when he was like, Oreos is going to Mexico? to make some of their Oreos over there? Chris Christie, you're not allowed to eat Oreos anymore. He said that, okay? He's like, we have to do something about this, okay? So we can't eat it anymore, okay? That means you can't buy Trump shirts. I mean, who's buying Trump shirts anyway? But apparently some suckers sued. You can't go to any of his hotels under his own thing. But you think after he became president, he'd do something about it, right? At least the one thing he could help is not necessarily Oreo or another company. He could do his own company. Nope. They're still making them in all those different places. And by the way, they're undercounting. There's 12 countries overall where he outsources to. More than that list. And then there's more countries on top of that. It gets shipped through, etc. But one last time, all 12 countries that he produces his products in. China, Netherlands, Mexico, India, Turkey, Slovenia, Honduras, Germany, Bangladesh, Indonesia, Vietnam, and South Korea. And I'm pretty sure none of those are in America. The world's largest hypocrite. All right, we'll be right back with the Bernie Sanders story.
All right, post-game here in Studio B, the green screen magic of internet television. Oh, a lot of breaking stories. Any conversation that starts with marriage is an interesting thing deserves a little bit of...
When the kid cries, perhaps that's the that's an opportunity to do so. It's an opportunity to do some parenting.
Yeah, parenting is you cry, you're gone.
Oh my God.
I love that video.
Yeah, man, I got a great achoo. You're like, my mouth was open, she sneezed in my eye.
I used to have Donut Tower next to my desk. Yeah, I'll dress up like a girl.
I sound confident now, Anna.
Yeah.
When we're off the air, I'm going to be like, how is this going to work?
When you get literally asked why 21 straight times.
Yeah.
And like at some point, you're fucking with me now, right?
So I dumped the kids off at her mom's, and I drove down to La Jolla for a day. Kids. They're like, but Daddy, no.
Why? What do you mean why? You asked me to look at you. You did it. You brought it up. You know you're doing it. Why? I don't know why. I was reading. She's lovely. And here's what's different. Like, it is a different feeling. Everybody says this, but it's 5:11 when we're shooting this. I can't wait to go home. Like that. I can't wait to see her.
What you guys do is allow us to be open and honest, and we don't have to worry about censorship. We don't have to worry about sponsors telling us what we can and can't say. We're accountable by our audience and our audience only, and I absolutely love that. That's the best part about being a member. We love you guys.
Easy for me. I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. All my life, I was told no.
You said I had small hands. They're not small, huh? I never heard that one before.
We talk about TYT Army being so strong. Usually they help us run our show. Now they're going to help us run the country.
Like this.
It's time that we reclaim democracy for the people.
We had a huge victory for Wolfpack.
When Lincoln said this is a country by, of, and for, he said of the people, not of corporations.
Our representatives don't represent us. Whoa! Democracy! United! We are! We are! Too strong! Stop. There's thousands of volunteers, and you could be among them.
With Wolfpack, the mission is so clear.
Money is killing our democracy. 96% of Americans want it. When you get the power back, oh, that feels good. This is just the beginning. Go get them, man. Up and at them. Knock, knock. We're coming for them! Wolf-pack.com.
Right back on the Young Turks. Members of the day are Christian Bryant and Jenny Saxana. And we do member shout-outs every day. Members make this show possible, and it allows us to be independent media and give you a different voice out here, as you're going to see in the Bernie Sanders story. And you get the whole 2-hour show commercial-free. Watch it anytime you want, download it or stream it, and the network shows as well. So that's at tytnetwork.com/join. And we are still doing our campaign, giving you a free trial membership for a whole month. Just this month, till the 27th, I believe. So, do that now. Put in the promo code FREETYT in order to get that free trial membership. Okay? Omaha Rant Monkey writes in on hashtag TYT Live. At least Trumpelstiltskin's math is consistent. 36% equals good. Bankruptcy equals win. Playing too much golf. Thinks a low score is better. Maybe that's the right answer. And 100% Kofefe writes in, you forgot his policies, which are made in Russia. Damn! You did it again, 100% Kofefe. Okay. Now, let's go to Bernie. I am told that there is a controversy surrounding Bernie Sanders and that perhaps he should withdraw from any idea of running in 2020. Gee, I wonder who would want him to do that. Could it be the entire Republican Party and the entire Democratic establishment? And all of a sudden, out comes all these stories about how his wife is under investigation. So let's tell you about that, and then you make up your own mind, and we'll ask you at the end, actually, whether you think this is a real issue or not. So, the New York Times headline from over the weekend, inquiry into Bernie Sanders' wife may tarnish his liberal luster. Okay. Again, at the end, I want you guys to tell us if it's tarnished, because it could be. Like, if you thought, oh, wait a minute, he's a hypocrite or something, then believe me, progressives would be very, very concerned about that. So let's find out what this is about. New York Times reports the couple and many of their supporters maintain that the investigation is politically motivated and that it was set in motion by Vermont State Chairman for Donald J. Trump's presidential campaign, Brady Toensing. That sentence makes it sound like it's in question as to whether it was started by Brady Toensing. The couple and their supporters claim that this is politically motivated and it was started by a Trump guy. So was it? Hey, you don't have to give me your thoughts as a New York Times reporter on whether it's politically motivated, but yeah, it was started by a Trump guy. So it's a kind of a weird way of writing that sentence that already makes you think like, I mean, that's what they're saying. You know, Republicans say this, Democrats say that. I guess we'll never find out. Anyway, as you can see here, no, it is Toensing. In his letter of complaint to the federal prosecutor, Mr. Toensing, who was then vice chairman of the Vermont Republican Party, said he was requesting, quote, an investigation into what appears to be a federal loan fraud involving the sale of Roman Catholic Diocese of Burlington headquarters. So, the Trump guy is the guy who throws in the incendiary word of fraud, reports it to the FBI. There's an update on that is very important at the end of the story, but let's find out what the whole story is in the first place. The charges revolve around the $6.5 million bank loan that was obtained with a promise that college donors would quickly pay back at least $2.6 million of the debt. They did not. Ms. Sanders was ousted and the college went belly up. Now, if you're concerned about that particular college in Vermont, okay, that's fair. And if you were a trustee, you went there. There's 100 reasons to be concerned. And if you charge Jane Sanders with mismanagement and all these facts were correct, then you'd say, okay, then, wow, it turns out the senator's wife is not that great at management. Ooh, okay, but that might be a fair charge. But wait, where did fraud come out of this? She asked for debt, and then they didn't have enough money, and then it had consequences. Okay. Well, the college needed to demonstrate that it had the financial resource to pay the bank loan, which it did with Ms. Sanders' assurances that it would receive $2.6 million in donations and increase its enrollment, Mr. Dunn said. Okay, so it turns out that they didn't get as much enrollment as she has thought, or donations. Now, nobody at a bank goes, oh, if Jane Sanders or anyone says that enrollment is going to increase, well, then it must increase. That's a true statement. I'm going to write that down. Oh, it didn't increase. That's fraud. That's preposterous. That was her best estimate as to what would come in donations and enrollment. Everyone knows you can't possibly know that ahead of time. You're taking your best guess, and your job at the bank is to figure out if that's a worthy credit-worthy endeavor, and whether you're taking an appropriate amount of risk or not. Now, I know there's a guy in the Republican Party who says bankruptcies are awesome. He's the president. He's gone bankrupt 6 different times, and when asked about it over and over in the campaign, he said, well, that's a smart thing to do in business. You just go bankrupt, and then you don't pay any of your debts. Ha ha! The guy brags about it. 6 different times. 6 businesses. Bankrupt, 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 bankrupt. No problem there. Jane Sanders thought that enrollment would increase the college, but it didn't. That's a mistake. Is that intentionally telling an untruth? How would she know? Maybe enrollment would have increased. Of course that's not fraud. Of course not. And again, the update's going to show you that actually no one thinks it is. This is all made up from the Trump guy. The fact that some Democrats are certainly on social media, and then certainly leaking to reporters, are backing this charge up. Why? He's the most popular politician in the country, and he's in your party. He's on your side. He caucuses with you. He's in Democratic leadership now. But if Bernie won, the other guys wouldn't. If his ideas win, well, the establishment doesn't, and their donors don't win. So let's take a smear job from Trump and back it in the press. And by the way, let's sprinkle in another smear job. The New York Times throws in, the senator had already taken some grief last year for purchasing a $575,000 vacation home on Lake Champlain. This is what they do to every person that has any money at all who's actually trying to do the right thing. Oh, Al Gore, trying to save the planet, was fighting climate change so that we won't all have the rising sea levels and the disastrous storms, etc. But he has money. Got him. He's got a nice home in Nashville. He's got this. He's got that. And yet he still wants to do the right thing. What do you want him to do? Be like, oh, if you're rich but a greedy prick, that's a good thing, right? Like, oh, yeah, you should chase. I want lower taxes. The Koch brothers, yes, Sheldon Adelson. Wait, you're rich and you want to help people? How dare you? You're a hypocrite. By the way, Bernie Sanders is not rich. He's one of the poorest senators there is. Although he's got a vacation home. I mean, look, everywhere is different. In LA, $575,000. I don't know if it gets you a 1-bedroom apartment. Okay, so anyway, wow, living in the lap of luxury. So, look, it's a big amount for average American. I get it. He's one of the poorest senators. FDR was rich. And they're like, you're rich, we're trying to help the poor. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. So, but they just sprinkle that in as if like it's a worthy charge. Because why? You just muddy the waters. Then people go out and go, I don't know, man. I hear he's losing his, the luster with the progressives. I hear it's tarnished. Somebody said FBI. I don't. Okay. So who's going to jump in? All the guys who are centrist. Like so, Stu Loser or Loser or whatever. He's a media strategist. Worked for Michael Bloomberg, who made all of his money, of course, in finance, says about Sanders, if you aren't able to give a good gold watch speech, he's done great things and we're all grateful for him, and imply he's ready for retirement, you're not going to be able to do anything. He's saying the Democrats should tell him, hey, okay, here's a gold watch, now piss off. He's an old man, he continues. He's an old man from a predominantly white state with decades of politics on guns and other issues that are problematic for Democratic candidates. Okay, Stu, then why is he the most popular politician in the country? Right now, Hillary Clinton's at 35% approval, Donald Trump's at 36% approval. Bernie Sanders, in the last poll I saw, is at 61% approval. The single most popular politician or senator. So, tell me again about the gold watch speech. You see, these Democrats don't want Bernie to run. It has nothing to do with policy. If they cared about policy, they would put Bernie on a pedestal. They said, look at this guy, he's so popular, and he's winning with what were supposed to be Democratic ideas. Oh, but the donors would be upset, so let's smear him instead. Okay, now the update to the story. The FBI source for information that sparked a probe into the wife of Senator Bernie Sanders admitted this week that the information he passed along was hearsay, according to a local Vermont television station. So this is the Hill reporting this. So same guy, Brady Tonsing, the lawyer who passed on the information to the FBI, reportedly got his information from Republican State Representative Don Turner, who told WCAX-TV in Vermont that he heard the information from friends. This is preposterous! So you have a local Republican politician saying, I heard it from friends, I guess. And then he tells Tosing, who is the Trump guy in Vermont, and he's like, good enough, who cares? It doesn't have to be true. It just has to work as a smear. And don't worry, he probably thought accurately, a lot of the Democrats will secretly help us. You think they'll rise to Bernie's defense? Are you seeing anyone on TV and Democrats going out there going, Bernie's the guy, this is an outrageous charge, it's not true, it's led by this Trump smear camp. Where are you guys? Where's the Democratic? I thought he was in Democratic Party leadership. Oh, when you want him out front in a speech so he can draw a crowd, all of a sudden, yay, Bernie. But you want ratings on MSNBC, all of a sudden it's a Bernie Sanders town hall event. But when he needs your help on a BS charge, nowhere to be found. Funny how that works. And let's go back to Turner, the guy who heard from friends that this might have happened. Turner told WCAX-TV that he wouldn't have shared the information with federal officials. That it was so unreliable that the guy who kind of got the information in the first place, he has no direct knowledge of it, would not have turned it into officials. The Trump guy's like, who cares? Truth doesn't matter. Don't worry, soon the New York Times will do our job for us. And they'll smear them all over the place, and then we'll turn around and then go, oh, the New York Times said it. I didn't say it, the New York Times said it. We'll start the story, and then the mainstream media, the Democratic Party, and the entirety of the Republican Party will look to put a hatchet in Bernie's back. Don't worry, we got this. And so far, that's almost exactly how it's gone down. Now, look, that's my opinion on it, but you guys are incredibly independent, and some of you disagree with me on the right, some of you disagree with me on the left, so, okay, let's get your thoughts on it. You're a progressive audience. Do you think his image is tarnished? That's what we're asking you. Will the inquiry into Jay Sanders tarnish Bernie Sanders' progressive reputation? You tell us, audience. Maybe the New York Times is right. Maybe this is really concerning. I mean, she thought enrollment was going to go up, and it didn't. And it didn't, because she's not a fortune teller. Maybe you think this is a super important FBI investigation, and that this disqualifies Bernie Sanders. Okay, all right. I'm curious to see what you guys are going to think about it, and we'll give you the poll results when we have them. So this is the best line of attack they have against Bernie Sanders. It's pretty pathetic. Finally, establishment. You nervous, bro? All of a sudden, before it was a joke, and Bernie, he's got no chance of winning. And you had all your dumbass pundits go out there and talk about, oh, no chance. He has no chance. He's from Vermont. He's a socialist. No chance at all. And then he closed a 60-point lead on Hillary Clinton when he had no name recognition, and she had all the name recognition in the world. And you had your dumbass pundits go out there and go, oh, well, I mean, he didn't win, did he? So you don't know that in politics that name recognition is an enormous factor? You're not going to mention that? You're not going to mention that he closed a 60-point lead? You're just going to go, oh, he didn't win. He didn't win the primary, so I guess Hillary's more popular. Does she look more popular now, 35 to 61? But nonetheless, nobody out there defending him in the mainstream media. All of a sudden, he's got no friends, and they turn around and they look at this and they go, oh, I don't know, man. I hear fraud. That's what I'm hearing. So you know how these guys operate, and it is gross. Bernie at 79, Bernie at 109. But it is interesting that they're coming now because apparently they're afraid of him. You don't smear someone like this, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or in the media, unless you're scared. So don't worry. In reality, what the story tells you is Bernie's got him on the run. We'll be right back.
TYT TYT is unique in a lot of ways.
I'm gonna ask some uncomfortable questions. I feel like I'm missed out.
So what is going on? If I don't eat, my head's going to explode.
As I take my shirt off, just goes, is that your body?
Now we move to inappropriate story number 2.
I just never felt guilty about masturbation.
It's amazing.
I could take partial credit for opening up your sexuality.
I was a kid in the pool with a shirt on. Let's just call it what it is. I was that kid.
Well, you deal with the bitch side of it, right? But you're my boss, so that's what happens.
I think we're more like people. They do see it from a frame of the rich and the powerful, and they don't realize it.
The last time that happened, we elected Abraham Lincoln.
I don't know. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we unfucked the world?
You and I are disasters.
Don't stereotype all cops. Don't stereotype all any blowing up like Dave Kohler on Twitter. Oh, that's pretty good progress. I didn't know you could leave positive comments. It's a very TYT thing. They do a whole bunch of depressing stuff, so that at the end I can get to winning is, in terms of change and positive change, is not just possible, it's inevitable.
Great time to be alive.
Let's burn this mother down. How's that what you're saying? Fuck it, let's go do it. And that's why I thank you guys for being members, because together we got their attention. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, stay strong.
Complex subject. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
You said I had small hands. They're not smaller. I never heard that one before.
Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world. Welcome to the Nerd Life.
Welcome to Nerd Alert, everyone. We have an exciting show for you this week.
Glad to communicate with all the nerds out there.
What's beautiful about geeks is geeks are open to everybody. That's the thing. It's like, so you got your thing, I got my thing. It's like, and if you're not, then you're a bad geek.
Why did you choose Battlestar Galactica? Because it's awesome? No kidding. The floor is not lava. Yucky! Ah, my nightmare! And there's one very special characteristic that many men have been interested in. Penis eyes. What's up, friend?
Yeah, I know that curve.
And that movie is the Valentine's Day romantic classic, Deadpool.
Whoa, wait a second, Doc. You mean to tell me that this is a nerd alert? That's right, Marty. We've entered a nerd alert.
Isn't that right? How can you improve pizza? With math, of course.
If we spilled goldfish crackers on the floor and we didn't want to clean them up, so we thought that if we stomped on them an infinite amount of times, they would mathematically cease to exist.
We are ready for a Wonder Woman movie. Oh, wait, no, let me correct myself. We were ready for a Wonder Woman movie years ago.
I'm Joss Whedon, and you're watching Nerd Alert.
Back on the Young Turks, Jake Hubert, Anna Kasparian. And let's be clear on the record here. My cough is Anna's fault.
Okay, but my cough was your fault. You gave me my cough, and then I gave you your cough back to you. Okay, but like you don't understand. Like I suffered for such a long time, I couldn't even sleep at
How do
night.
you know that was? I didn't even have a cough before.
What do you mean? You always have a cough, and you.
I charge you with fraud.
Okay, stop! Don't talk in my direction, please. Talk at the camera.
Talk to the hand.
people.
Talk to the hand. Talk to the camera. Okay. All right. Anyways, we're doing a poll. No, I'm kidding. We're doing a poll. All right. A couple of quick tweets for you guys as usual. Tensai Badger writes in, Jane Sanders might not be good at management. And which political office is she running for again? Oh, right. None. Okay. And by the way, New York Times done a lot of investigations into the competence of Melania Trump and her management skills, right? Oh, no, they haven't. Oh, that's out of bounds, right? John, we can't talk about their family members. Huh, that's interesting. Okay, Ryan Zephyr. Of course, the Democratic Party are going to be the biggest Bernie attackers. With friends like these, you don't need enemies. I'm a Derpy Panda says, this is how much Democrats hate progressives. They'll side with Trump people to destroy Bernie. Yeah, what I could swear that I saw signs about resisting. But when it comes to attacking Bernie, all of a sudden, a lot of Democrats are not resisting Trump. They're aiding and abetting Trump. They don't want to do it on the record because then they'll get caught. But you need an anonymous source to a story. To be fair, the New York Times did not have a Democratic anonymous source. The one guy that was on the record was a media strategist who works for Bloomberg and Democrats as well. But other stories have. Then they'll come in and put a couple of shivs in Bernie when you're not looking. All right. Anyway, the W. Do writes in, well, that's because the establishment Dems already chosen their 2020 candidates, and Bernie isn't one of them.
It's so pathetic, and I get it. Like their jobs are on the line, right? They're establishment Democrats, and they don't care about what's best for the country or what's best for the people. What they care about is what's best for them and their pocketbooks. And yes, I know that people don't carry pocketbooks anymore, but you guys get what I'm saying. Sounds better than like wallets, or I guess, or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, it's super frustrating, and I'm super afraid that we're just going to have a repeat during the 2020 election.
No, we're not. We're going to have something much worse.
Great. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, but this time, a little different, with a little twist ending.
Can you just get me like lethally sick instead?
Yeah. No. Don't worry. This time we win. Okay. Trust me. Let's walk with me. Okay. Anyway, for the moment being, justdemocrats.com/win, because we need to show Democrats how to actually fight and how to actually win. If our progressive candidates win, then they have no excuses left. Okay. Besides which, who cares about their excuses? We'll just replace them. Okay, let's keep going.
All right. A fatal police shooting in Minneapolis is making headlines not only in the United States, but also in Australia because it involved a woman who came here to the United States from Australia in order to marry her fiancé. Justine Damon was her name, and she was a yoga and meditation teacher. And this case is very, very low on details. Very little details have been reported by the cops involved, and people are extremely upset and angry about how this situation went down. But here's what we do know. She actually called the cops for help because she believed that there was a possible assault in the alley near her home. The call for help came in just before 11 p.m. Saturday night. 2 Minneapolis Police Department officers went to an alley near her home in the Fulton neighborhood. Now, 3 people with knowledge of the incident told the Star Tribune that the responding officers pulled into the alley behind Damon's home. The woman, who was wearing pajamas, approached the driver's side door and was talking to the driver. The officer in the passenger seat shot Damon through the driver's side door, the 3 people told the newspaper. So we don't know what prompted them to do that. What we do know is that she is not a violent person, she did not have a gun, and she was the person who called the cops to report a possible assault in the alley.
Okay, think about how dangerous that is. Not only are you shooting and killing someone, that used to be a really, really important thing back in the day, but you're also shooting through your partner.
I know.
To hit her, okay? But in Minneapolis, we know that there are no consequences for cops killing people. So Philando Castiles was just shot and killed. We saw it on tape. We saw what happened. And the officer was told, hey, I have a legal gun. Don't worry. make sure you get it, etc. He shot and killed the guy anyway, and he got away with it. Totally acquitted. So cops think, I mean, I guess the downside is somebody's dead, whatever, but I'm never going to get punished. Now, did the guy consciously think that? We don't know yet, right? And I'm sure the cops are busy grilling him right now as we speak, because they love to grill their own. They don't care about the blue line at all. They just treat them as common criminals when they kill citizens. / they never do that. Anyway, but in the back of his mind, all the cops know, I will almost never suffer any consequences if like shooting someone used to be a gigantic deal. And this is why we told you in other stories. People are starting to worry about calling the cops.
Yeah, I think, look, there are so many negative ramifications to stories just like this one. There's this distrust of cops, and that, unfortunately works as a negative for good cops out there, law-abiding cops who actually do want to protect and serve. And so every once in a while when you come across a story where there's someone who's innocent but they run away from the cops and then that leads to a shooting, people will say, like, why are they running away from the cops? What's the issue? If they're not guilty of anything, why would they run away? And it's because of this distrust. People are fearful. People don't want to call cops for help. And it's because of really tragic stories like this one. Now, again, we don't know what kind of words were exchanged. We don't know what happened. Again, very little details to this story as of now.
One of them.
Who knows what happened? But obviously we don't ever agree that disrespecting a cop warrants them shooting and killing someone. Now, here's another element to the story that's, in my opinion, very interesting. So neither of the responding officers had turned on their body cameras before the shooting. The squad car camera did not capture the incident either.
What an unbelievable coincidence. I bet that'll make accountability easy. Oh, no, it'll make it super hard. And given the track record of cops getting acquitted on charges with no video at all, it'll be just their word against no one, because the other person is dead. Dead men tell no tales. So what a shocking coincidence. They're all supposed to have their body cameras on. After the Philando Castile shooting, it is mandatory that they have their body cameras on. But golly gee willikers, they say they didn't have them on.
Also, please keep in mind that she is at least the 23rd woman fatally shot by an officer this year, and that only accounts for over 4% of all fatal police shootings this year alone. So usually these police shootings disproportionately impact males. But one thing that I do really want to bring up, and I think it's important, is that oftentimes when we talk about the issue of police brutality, because of the fact that it disproportionately impacts minorities, it turns into a race issue, right? A racial issue. And one thing that I've said over and over again, and I really want to reiterate it right now, it goes further than a race issue. Yes, it disproportionately impacts minorities, but it impacts every single one of us. When we embolden bad cops to behave this way, when we let them get away with this type of behavior, it doesn't just impact people that you don't care about and you don't think about. It impacts every single one of us. This is an Australian woman, okay, who teaches meditation and yoga here in the United States. She was known as a loving person, a caring person, a passionate person, not a violent person at all. People are reeling about this story and they're angry. And what's interesting is everyone's angry. No one's looking at her record and talking about, oh, but maybe she smoked marijuana once and maybe that justifies his behavior. No one's talking about that. This was, from what we know so far, an unjustified murder of a woman. And the same is true of all the other minorities that we covered. Again, this impacts every single one of us. We need to reel these cops back in, do better training, and actually punish them when they murder and kill unarmed individuals.
And so, whether it's murder will be adjudicated, maybe if they ever go to court, but it is shooting and killing someone, there's no question about that. And to Anna's point, Nikema Levy-Pounds says, look, when we were saying that they are doing this to our fathers, our sons, our brothers, sisters, and mothers, what we were trying to tell you is, if they do this to us, they will do it to you next. You know that old poem about first they came for the trade unionists, and I wasn't a trade unionist. I'm both going to be softer and tougher on the cops. I don't know if the guy who shot Philando Castile is a bad guy. I don't know if the guy who shot Justine Damon in this case is a bad person. What I'm worried about is the training. They're telling the cops, be afraid of everything. Never, ever, ever take a risk of any anything ever hurting you. Protecting the citizens is like your 187th priority, okay? Protecting you is 1 through 186. Oh, my job's to get home at night. No, it's not. It's actually literally not your job. Your job is to protect the community. That's why we gave you a gun and a badge. So, so of course, and there's guns everywhere, to be fair to the cops. So what happens? This is what we told you would happen. They shoot, and then on top of that, we say, don't worry, you'll almost never go to prison for shooting someone if you're a cop. So you have now incentivized them to shoot people because there's no consequences, and you train them that they should be scared of everything and not care about the citizens. And yes, you did. It is the training. By the way, her stepson to be, the person he was about to get married. Her stepson, of course, loved her and said, quote, "America sucks."
Actually, we have his video, and it's really powerful. Can we toss it up
Yes.
for a second? Let's go to the video.
My mom is dead because the police officer shot her for reasons I don't know, and I demand answers. And if anybody can help, just call the police and demand answers. I'm so done with all this violence. It's so much bullshit. America sucks. These cops need to get trained differently.
Can you
I need to move out of here.
about the situation?
I just know that she heard a sound in the alley, so then she called the police. And the cops showed up. And she was a very passionate woman. And she she thought there was like something bad was happening. And then next thing I know, they take my best friend's life. So I'm just done.
And
fuck the police.
Zach, you've been
Some of
trying
you are
to get
good,
in
but like I'm just
contact with the
done.
police,
I'm
and
so done.
they're not answering your questions.
This has to stop. This has to stop.
So I'm sure that there will be a lot of right-wingers who go, I can't believe he said fuck the police. How dare he? And he said America sucks. Doesn't he know we're number one? How would you react if they killed your mom? So easy to criticize when your mom's not dead in an alleyway because she mistakenly thought the cops would help her. And even in the midst of his anger and his grief, he said it's not all the cops, right? Which of course it's not. But we're training them wrong, and he said that, and that's like 100% right. So we have to go back to freeze, you're under arrest. We have to go back to take a second before you shoot and kill someone and end their life. We have to go back to the citizens' lives matter. They matter. The cop lives are not the only thing that matters. Of course we care about cops. They're human beings. But we also care about all of the citizens. So it's gross.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it plays out, because I saw a couple reports, and I mean, one from Daily Mail, and I saw other outlets. The identity of the officer, he's apparently a Somali-American, first officer to serve in this precinct. His name is Mohammed Noor, and he only had 2 years of experience. So a lot of people are chalking up saying, oh, this is an inexperienced cop, and he needs maybe more training, and they don't know what happened. So
he needs less training.
So this, now, because we know the lines of what usually happens, or what we hear the majority of the time, as Anna pointed out, disproportionately happens, we'll see where this one falls.
No, that's a super interesting question.
Interesting, because races are reversed in this case.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And the guy who shot him is Muslim. So, look, we are 1,000% consistent. You've got to get better training on the cops. So, and when I say better, I don't mean get them even more nervous. And and all the trainings around, you're going to get shot any second. Whenever you see anybody, they're about to shoot you. Just put them down first. Put them down, right? Instead of doing that kind of training, I don't need more of that training. That's what gets people killed. Okay? Teach them, these are your citizens. Your job is to protect them. Okay? Your job's not to kill them. It's to protect them. And actually, you have a really dangerous and hard job because you have to risk your life to protect them. So I'm just as furious about this story as any of the cop shootings. But it'll be interesting to see the right-wing reaction because in this case, it's a white woman who's shot and apparently a black Muslim cop who shot her. So we'll see if all of a sudden they're like, well, I mean, this one was bad. I mean, not the other ones, but this one. Okay, we'll see. I don't want to prejudge that. Just look at the comments down below.
All right, moving on to other news. BuzzFeed has published an explosive report detailing accusations against artist R. Kelly and how he allegedly is running a cult that has held several women, young women, captive. Now, the story starts by discussing a young girl, 19-year-old, who wanted to be a musical artist, went to one of his shows, met R. Kelly, and then all of a sudden, according to her parents, was brainwashed into cutting off all ties and communication with the parents and living with R. Kelly. However, it's not just one woman or one man's allegations against him. There are several people who have corroborated these allegations against R. Kelly, and he has responded to them. We'll get to his response in just a second. But first, let me give you some of the details. So 3 former members of Kelly's inner circle, Cheryl Mack, Kitty Jones, and Asante McGee, said 6 women live in properties rented by Kelly in Chicago and the Atlanta suburbs, and he controls every aspect of their lives, dictating what they eat, how they dress, when they bathe, when they sleep, and how they engage in sexual encounters that he records. By the way, there was an audio recording that one of the women had taken of an interaction with R. Kelly that was also given to BuzzFeed, and BuzzFeed said that his comments and the way that he was engaging with the young woman are in line with the accusations against him. Now, the women in Kelly's entourage initially think, this is R. Kelly, I'm going to live a lavish lifestyle. No. You have to ask for food. You have to ask to go use the bathroom. Kelly is a master at mind control. He is a puppet master. That's according to Cheryl Mack, who was one of the people associated with him. Also, a 31-year-old. They also listed the type of women who are living with him currently. They detailed a 31-year-old so-called den mother who trained newcomers on how Kelly liked to be pleasured sexually. She had been best friends since high school with the girl in the videotape for which Kelly was tried in 2008. Of course, that was the tape where he allegedly urinated on a 14-year-old. She recently parted ways with Kelly, these sources say. Also, a recent arrival is a 19-year-old model who has been photographed in public with Kelly and named on music gossip websites. That's a rarity among the women in his circle, since he usually keeps them private. There's also an Atlanta songwriter who he began a relationship with around 2009 when she was 19. She's 26 now. And an 18-year-old singer from Polk County, Florida. Max said the Florida singer is Kelly's favorite, his #1 girl. And
that's what a coincidence. She's the youngest one.
Yeah. Huh. So there's more details about the way he allegedly treats them, but I want you to jump in.
Yeah. So look, this is a very hard situation because when adults make a decision to stay in a situation like this, there's not a lot you can do. And so if your kids get caught up in a cult and they're of adult age, oh man, it is a nightmare.
Because you can't file a missing persons report. Cops can't really investigate the situation the way they would if someone was truly missing. The parents of these girls know where they are, but they're not minors, they're adults, and it appears that they consented to be there. So there's very little that police can do.
Almost certainly they went in with consent.
Right.
And now it's hard to say, well, he was controlling their mind, we think, so they no longer have consent. That's a hell of a thing to prove. So, on the other hand, you and I, being outside of this crazy situation in his house, can tell, no, you're telling people when they can go to the bathroom when they can't, and all these specific instructions, and you're using the girl whose best friend was allegedly peed on
during a sex act.
And all these years, it was filmed. It's on tape, allegedly.
It's amazing how he got out of that.
Yeah, because he's a celebrity. These celebrities drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So she's still with him all the way to the age of 31, training these other girls. And he's got so much money. He'll probably get away with all this too. And if you got money in America, well, good news for you is you got a whole different justice system, and you got resources at your command. And if you're a celebrity, everything's going to be okay. I see Chris Brown everywhere. everybody's forgotten. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Now, here are some more details of what's alleged against him, and then I'll read you his response. So he allegedly confiscates the women's cell phones so they cannot contact their friends and family. He gives them new phones that they are only allowed to use to contact him or others with his permission. Kelly films his sexual activities, McGee and Jones said, and shows the videos to men in his circle.
Oh, he's such a bad guy. I was wondering why he videotaped her. As I'm looking at the story, I'm like, when do you have time to look at the videos later? There's like 6 women in the house. Like, what are you doing? No. He's showing it to his friends, bragging.
Right. And, you know, the allegations against him, you know, are somewhat similar to the allegations against Bill Cosby in that all the women who end up getting involved with him and living with him are women who wanted to pursue the music industry for their careers. And so it starts off, and it's interesting because it starts off with the parents being very involved, making sure that they're there for every phone call and the meetings and all that. And then all of a sudden, R. Kelly will say, hey, I want to take her on tour with me, so she kind of sees how this industry is.
Don't do it.
And before they know it, you know, all of a sudden communication is allegedly cut off with their daughters. Also, Kelly almost always tells the women to dress in jogging suits because, quote, he doesn't want their figures to be exposed. He doesn't want them to look appealing. Kelly would make the girls turn around and face the wall in their jogging suits because he doesn't want them to be looked at by anyone else. That was one of the other allegations by a woman that was associated with him and who's now speaking out against him.
He doesn't want them seen by anyone else unless he recorded them having a sex and then shows it to his friends. Like, hey, don't look at their ankles when you're outside, but hey, you want to see me having sex with them if you're a buddy of mine?
This is insane. So cops have done 2 welfare checks. The first welfare check, they show up and no one's there. Okay, so they leave. The second welfare check, they show up and everyone's saying, no, everything's okay. We're happy to be here. No problems whatsoever. And again, it's really hard for authorities to do anything if you have adult women saying that they're not being held against their will, that they're there because they want to be there. So, you know, I want to make sure I give you that part of the story as well. Now, a rep for the singer tells TMZ that Mr. Robert Kelly is both alarmed and disturbed by the recent revelations attributed to him. Mr. Kelly unequivocally denies such allegations or accusations and will work diligently and forcibly to pursue his accusers and clear his name.
During the height of the Iraq War, I said if someone I know and love wanted to go sign up to serve in the military, I'd tackle him. Because not for that war. Okay, you're gonna go get your legs blown off or die for that nonsense. So now I have almost a similar rule about about the music industry. I'm serious, but especially if you're a woman. Okay, by the way, note to parents: if R. Kelly says, "I'd like you to take your daughter on a tour," the answer is hell no, under no circumstances. Okay. So right now, if they're all in the house saying, yeah, everything's hunky-dory, probably not a damn thing you could do about it. And if he didn't do the things about like taking their phones away and doing all the other manipulation, and you got to ask me for permission to go to the bathroom and all the other stuff, and they just signed up for, yeah, R. Kelly's famous, and I just want to have sex with him, and I don't care that there's 5 other girls here, and I don't care that he's taping it, I don't care about any of that, then that's fine. I mean, maybe it's not our cup of tea, but when you throw in all the other stuff, it's obvious that he's manipulating them. It started as just, hey, he's powerful, he's a celebrity, I like him, whatever, right? Now it's turned into something else.
I mean, just think about where you were when you were 17 or 18 years old. I'm not talking about physically, but mentally, right? And you have these big dreams, and you really want to succeed, and then you have this power imbalance where this big celebrity, someone that you aspire to be like, tells you that they can help you out. I mean, there's already a certain level of power and control that he has over these girls, right? And I think it takes an insanely strong-willed person. I think it's almost impossible to find a person who can, you know, say no to that and just be like, it's just easy to be manipulated when you're a young person who desperately wants to establish your career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last thing on this. If anybody says, I'm going to take your phone away, and they're not your parent, watch out. That means they want to close you off from the rest of the world, whether it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, or whoever, or a cult leader, or whatever, a religious leader. Don't let them take your phone. Don't let them take your passport. Don't let them take anything like that. That means you're in a world of trouble, and they're looking to isolate you and control you. So whether it's R. Kelly or anyone else, don't do it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we got more news for you guys, including in redneck revolts. It might not be what you think it is.
Damn it, they failed us. And if you're not angry about that, Michael, and any of you out there, then you're damn wrong. Because you should be angry. Young Turks.
It was genuine. He was bad.
Jake Uger, known online as one of the Young Turks, isn't afraid to throw some punches. 3, 2, 1, hit up.
I just remember thinking, what is this guy's name?
Jake the Turk Uger.
What kind of TV station is this? The whole point is for me to yell and scream and tell you what I think.
It was right out of like Wayne's World.
This guy on this little rinky-dink website is speaking truth to power. We've been averaging 600,000 views a day, beating most of the cable shows in America.
We're the largest online news show in the world.
We're celebrating our 1 billionth view.
We're coming.
More politics ahead with Jake Uger.
He knew that the MSNBC opportunity was an experiment.
And Phil and host beat CNN headline news combined. At some point, they want to give me a show.
Every single year, that comes out of our paycheck. We put it in, and you're saying we were suckers.
When you, as a host, tells someone you're interviewing to shut up, that's going to raise a red flag.
That guy needed a tall glass to shut up.
If President Obama's doing the wrong thing, I'm not going to tell you that he's doing the right thing so I can support him.
He says to me, "You won't believe the meeting that I just had."
The head of MSNBC talked to me.
They want him off the air. Jake took an incredible risk.
We're supposed to challenge the government. That's the role of the media. The Democrats and the Republicans are here to screw you. And who on the air is saying it?
I wouldn't have done what he did.
That if I'm going to be a talk show host, I'm going to be the biggest talk show host in the country. I don't think anyone else does it better. I don't think anyone's even close.
Before you know it, I'll be back on your TV doing an actual show. I guarantee it. They'd rather lose to Republicans than have a progressive win with them. That's how dumb the corporate Democrats are.
The Democrats who vote to sleep, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who push the right-wing agenda. Most of the people are either unemployed, underemployed, or fucked.
This is why you lost the broken fucking moron. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Whoever wrote that, I'm sure they were typing with one hand and going like this. The Democrats are dead. The way you feel right now, that's how a chump feels. Not freak out.
All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk and Anna with you guys. I want to read a couple of poll results for you guys. Should Trump be removed from office if collusion with the Russians is proven regarding the leaked DNC emails? So we asked you guys about that, and I was curious if you guys were going to say yes or no about that. Because I thought a lot of progressives might say, no, it's collusion, but that doesn't mean that it's illegal or that he should be removed. And yes, 17% of you said that. No, he should not be removed. But a solid 83% said, no, he should be removed.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, if you prove collusion, which is not necessarily illegal. So that's a big number, and to me, that's telling. Okay, that's, if you want to keep voting on that, that's tytnetwork.com/remove. And then, should the San Francisco cops have fined the skateboarders? And that story we did about the skateboarders.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm super curious about this.
I know, that's why we did the poll. Yes is winning at 63%.
No way!
Yes. No is at 37%.
Oh my god, I was expecting people to throw feces at us for saying that they should be fined.
I'm sure some have, but luckily it didn't land.
Because, people are like, oh, yeah, skateboarders, land is free, like, let them skateboard wherever they want, but...
Yeah. Apparently 63% don't say that. Okay, you want to keep voting on that, tytnetwork.com/skateboard. On the shooting story, I'm a Derby Panda writes in, multiple choice excuse: A, feared for their lives; B, resisting arrest; C, she was coming at them; D, she wanted drugs. That is almost certainly going to be one or two of those choices that they're going to claim, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost never anything but those choices as to why they shot someone. Anyway, Phil says, so no one will call the cops. Vigilante justice will become the norm. Good guys with guns will just murder people. Actually, Phil, there's a story I didn't get to today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. In Texas, militias, heavily armed, have been showing up at Latino protests.
Oh, great.
And they fancy themselves the good guys. Oh, boy. Okay, Nicholas Burns finally says, oh, boy. Here we go. Thinks America are number one at largest prison population and killing civilians, both domestic and foreign. Changes must happen. Anna, you take it away while I cough.
Actually, I have to cough. I'm done. Ann Coulter wanted to show the world just how unlikable she is by ranting against Delta. And usually, I'm in favor of rants against airlines because they make flying a little more difficult than it needs to be. However, Coulter took matters way too far when she decided to lash out on innocent people on the flight that didn't do anything wrong. Now, let me set up the story for you. She's on a flight from LaGuardia Airport in New York to West Palm Beach in Florida. So, relatively short flight. And she had paid $30 extra to get a specific seat on the flight, a seat that has extra leg room and is in an emergency exit row. Now, Coulter went on to complain that Delta moved her and then didn't really give her a reason as to why they moved her. They moved her to another seat that has extra leg room, but it wasn't the specific seat that she wanted, okay? She went on to complain that Delta spends all its money on beautiful aircraft and then hire nurse ratchets as flight attendants and gate agents. So already the insults against people begin, and the first insult goes toward the flight attendants that just wanted to fix this mix-up, and I get it. It's a super annoying mix-up, right? You pay for an extra seat, you should get that extra seat. But they made a mistake, and they tried to make it better.
So far, this is not bad, okay? It's not extra seat, of course, as you explained. It's just extra space in that seat.
Right.
She already got extra space in the new seat, but okay, you're mad, and as you know, I've had my issues with airlines, and I think sometimes the flight attendants have been over-empowered and then go on power trips. So it's possible that this story ends with us agreeing with Ann Coulter. But it's Ann Coulter, so of course she's not going to stop.
Right. So she was complaining about not getting the seat that she paid for. I'm on her side. That's super frustrating. But then she goes on to blast people on her social media. So her Twitter account has a little over 1 million followers, I believe, and she starts insulting the woman that was placed in the seat that she had originally paid for. Hey, Delta, if it was so important for the Dotson-legged woman to take my seat, she should have booked the seat in advance like I did. First of all, maybe she did book that seat, right? You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Here's what I do know. The woman who's sitting in that seat is not a bad person, did not go out of their way to make you have a bad flight, right? Like, why are you needlessly insulting this woman? Then,
you guys, can I just say, like, you really, if you're a right-winger, you like her, she's insulting other passengers for no reason.
Yeah.
Personal attacks. She's a person who has some degree of power.
Yeah.
She has wealth and celebrity. That other person is just a regular person. And not only did she attack her appearance, then she took a picture of them.
Right. So I blurred out the photo because we don't need to show the identity of this person. But yeah, so she goes ahead and posts a photo of the woman. Delta didn't give my extra room seat to an air marshal or tall person. Here's the woman given my pre-booked seat. Just like,
why are you showing them?
Why would you go out of your way to take pictures of private citizens? I get it, they're in a public place, so there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. But you're needlessly posting their image, or her image specifically, on social media. Like, for what? So they attack her? So they come after her? I don't get what the point is, right? So the airline criticized her for posting derogatory and slanderous comments and photos in social media about its employees and customers. Delta said it was disappointed in Ms. Coulter and called her actions unnecessary and unacceptable. They also refunded her the $30, but she's like, you need to give me $10,000 because it took time for me to find that perfect seat, and time is money. I'm paraphrasing what she tweeted, but she tweeted something to that effect, and I think that's ridiculous. I mean, come on.
Of course it's ridiculous. You're so precious that, oh my God, you spent an extra minute doing something.
I just feel like
they're all scam artists. She's doing it for attention. She's seeing if she can scam Delta out of some more money because she's a despicable person. And again, if this is a person that you think is your hero, unbelievable. And you want to, she made people like airlines, like defend airlines, which I thought was unimaginable. Like, Americans generally have a horrible time with these airlines and are so frustrated. She's the only person who could have turned it around. And God bless Delta for actually standing up to her and saying that her actions were unacceptable and only returning the $30. And to the point where I thought, is this a false flag operation? Like, where the airlines hired Ann Coulter to be such a raging fill-in-the-blank jerk, right? That people then go, no, wait a minute, maybe the airlines are not so bad.
I don't know. I just feel like, there needs to come a day when Ann Coulter stops this, this characteristic of victimhood. Like, when are you going to stop making yourself a victim, Ann Coulter? When are you going to start taking responsibility for your life and for your choices? How about that? Like, that's the funny thing, though, right? First of all, like, she comes off as this insanely whiny brat, because it's not like she tweeted a couple things. She tweeted all weekend long, like, wah, wah, wah. You got another extra leg seat, like, extra room for your leg seat. Like, you're fine. I get it. Like, you want to be comfortable. You got a similar seat. It's not the end of the world. And then to proceed to attack people who haven't done anything wrong, it's freaking ridiculous. And there's the extra layer of the way she reacted to that story of that doctor, that Asian doctor that got dragged off that flight. That was the United flight. Her reaction to that was really interesting. She said, sorry about the dragging, but the convicted pill mill doctor should be deported. But he's been a citizen in the United States since the 1970s. I know you're a citizen, but I'd much rather have you deported. So
now, Anna will get to say that to Ann Coulter's face in just a couple of weeks at Politicon, if you want to check that out.
No, Homegirl runs around running her mouth about how, Mexicans, they really harm society. We need to preserve our culture. Are you a representation of the type of culture you're trying to preserve? Because if that's the case, you don't make America great. You make America a laughingstock. You're embarrassing, right? Like, she has the audacity to run her mouth talking about how terrible Muslims and Mexicans are. You're terrible. Like, I can't even handle hearing her speak. All she does is use hyperbole. She never, ever, ever uses real statistics or facts to back up her anti-immigration BS, right? She thinks there's 30 million undocumented immigrants in the country.
Yeah, she just made that up.
She just made it up. No, she cites a
official body
ridiculous
thinks
study that has questionable methodology, to say the least.
No, okay. So, look, if you get to watch Anna say all that to her face at Politicon, go to politicon.com/TYT. Just, she happens to be in the news today. That's certainly not why we're doing the story. But the last thing on Ann Coulter in regards to this story is the story about Dow, the doctor that was dragged out there.
Yeah.
If you say a guy who's a U.S. citizen should be deported after he was assaulted by the airlines and dragged out and they bloodied him, she thinks, but that's awesome, and it's your fault, and you should be deported. Why? And she's so outraged that she got a slightly different seat. What's the difference between Ann Coulter and that doctor? No, she is a flat-out, indisputable racist. If that was a white person, there's no way she would have said he should be deported. Deported to where? Okay? And Dr. Dow lives in America and is a U.S. citizen. Deported to where? Yeah. But in her mind, she's not white, so deport him to wherever, because only whites matter. Ann Coulter, you're an unbearable scum of the earth racist. You're what's wrong with America. Okay. I think that was clear. We got to take a break here for the online audience. We'll be right back, as you guys know. And for everybody, you can catch the whole show, including the online part and the post game, if you get membership, tytnetwork.com/join. Free TYT is the promo code this month for free trial membership. We'll see you in a minute. TYT, Jake and Anna with you guys. Don't you love how quick that last break is?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go.
All right. Low-income housing is not only beginning to be a real problem in the United States, but everyone is starting to see symptoms of it, and Los Angeles is a prime example of that. Now, homelessness has gotten so bad in the U.S. that we are seeing more and more RVs or mobile homes popping up on streets. And as a result, businesses and residents are calling tow companies or the city to have these RVs impounded because they're taking up a lot of space, and in a lot of cases, they're not in great condition. Now, according to the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, 2,363 people across the city live in motorhomes. That's a 20% increase from 2016. And to make the problem worse, the city had contracts with 3 towing companies that specialized in impounding large or heavy vehicles. And in this case, it turns out that 2 of them have decided to stop doing business with the city because of how terrible these RVs are and how terrible the condition of these RVs are. So the contractors say that the campers and RVs are often so dilapidated or damaged that they're in danger of falling apart while being towed. The vehicles frequently contain overflowing or leaking sewer tanks and can come with pests such as fleas, ticks, mice, and rats. Now, the only company that's still impounding these RVs is Pepe's Towing, and they said that the conditions of these RVs are so bad that they've had to basically bomb for fleas every Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. So you have RV encampments, and then you also have the tent encampments, which used to be, unique to Skid Row, but they're also popping up throughout Los Angeles in areas that you hadn't seen them before. Also, the city of Los Angeles impounded approximately 1,000 motorhomes and trailers in 2016, but only about half of them were claimed. People who are living in their RVs usually don't have the resources to go pay to get them out of the impound lot. So these companies are like, why are we going to impound these vehicles if we're not going to be able to recoup the costs?
So I wish somebody had warned me about the housing problem in LA.
Look, I'm bringing this up because it's going to continue to become more and more of a problem, right? So for those of you who are lucky enough to afford rent or afford buying a property, consider the fact that even if you live in the nicest neighborhoods, all of a sudden you're going to start noticing, an ever-growing homeless population. And I say that as someone who, grew up in the San Fernando Valley. Very rare to see homeless people in the valley. It's a suburban area of Los Angeles. And now all of a sudden you see homeless people sleeping on the sidewalks pretty much, everywhere. Every single part of the San Fernando Valley. Same of really nice places like West Hollywood. West Hollywood used to have some homeless people. Now there's a ton of homeless people, and it's going to continue getting worse. And just to show you how big of a problem this is, not just in Los Angeles, but nationwide, there was a study done to look at the lack of affordable housing in the U.S. This was done by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition. And the reports have shown that the minimum housing wage is rising year over year. The organization defines a housing wage as a full-time earnings per hour needed to rent, not buy, an affordable home. This year, they found that the national housing wage is $21.21 per hour for a two-bedroom rental home, nearly 3 times higher than the federal minimum wage, which is $7.25 per hour. And so a lot of times people will say, well, if you're living in a big city and it's expensive, just move to a city that's not expensive, where housing is a lot cheaper. But that means that you not only have to relocate to find a home, you also need to find a new job. And oftentimes the jobs in those areas don't even pay enough for you to afford the housing there. So again, this is continuing to be more and more of a problem. No one's really coming up with solutions, and anyone who has the audacity to bring up the issue gets brushed aside as someone who's just whining and spoiled.
Yeah, I don't think those folks in the RVs are spoiled.
Yeah.
And so, you talk about the fleas, etc. That the whole point there is, look at the dire straits that they're in. And so things have gotten bad for a lot of folks. And it's a combination of factors. It's not just that housing is expensive. It's also that we don't make nearly enough money. The median wages have flatlined in this country for decade after decade. By the way, productivity has not. And so the difference is about $12 trillion between productivity and wages, and that got redistributed to the top. And so now there are consequences to that, and I guess some folks are thrilled, like I bought off a politician and I got lower taxes, and now I have a larger mansion. But when your mansion is surrounded by RVs of people who are in dire straits, because they're making minimum wage, that's still $7.25. That's unbelievable. In LA, that's higher, but that's the nationwide one. And that is miserably low. It has not kept up with inflation or productivity or any of those factors. Then this is what happens. And then you're beginning to get 2 different Americas. And I know we already have a 2-tier justice system, and now we have this. So even if you don't care about anybody else and you have no empathy for them, it's going to affect you too.
It will, absolutely. All right, final story, an interesting one that made me like some rednecks. They refer to themselves as rednecks, so I'm not trying to be insulting. All right. In Middle America, there is a new effort to resist the Trump organization or Trump administration, and it's known as the Redneck Revolt. And I'm being a little unfair by calling them new since they've been around since 2009, but because of the Trump administration, they are feeling more reinvigorated, and they are resisting in their own way. Now, the Redneck Revolt is interesting because they want similar things to what we discuss here on the show, but they're very much in favor of guns and what they consider redneck culture. So they consider themselves an anti-racist, pro-gun, pro-labor organization. They say, if you haven't noticed, we aren't liberals. If you keep going further left, eventually you go left enough to get your guns back. So they're very much in favor of guns. The organization's principles are distinctly left-wing, though. They're against white supremacy, they're against capitalism and the nation state, and they're in support of the marginalized. So not only do they want to resist Trump, but they also want to fight back against some of the racism and racist rhetoric that we've been experiencing in the U.S. lately.
Look, this goes to the tradition that's in the South that people have forgotten about. And I've talked about this in previous shows. Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, almost all the old country stars were what we would call progressives today. Right? Significantly so. But mainly they were rebels. So that's why maybe these guys aren't calling themselves liberals. But in Johnny Cash's album cover, he's sticking the middle finger out to the man. And he was there at Folsom Prison. And he's doing this, and he did a concert for prisoners. And he writes about the downtrodden. And so what these guys are saying is the same thing. We're here for the marginalized. We're here for the real people. And they got marginalized by several different factors. And maybe that's why they're, again, actually not liberals. Because, and I know the words get a little funny here, liberals, progressives. We call ourselves progressives. And there's some distinctions. I don't want to get too long into that road. But my point is that you could be against big government and also against big business. And you could see that there are problems with big government. And then some of those are created by the fact that we're doing crony capitalism where big business has bought off government, right? And so this is a tradition that is very old in the South, and it's great to see it rise up again.
Yeah, absolutely.
A Southern tradition I can get behind.
So I want to leave you with a quote from Dave Strano, who's part of the Redneck Revolt. He says, "The history of the white working class has been a history of being an exploited people. However, we've been an exploited people that further exploits other exploited people. While we've been living in tenements and slums for centuries, we've also been used by the rich to attack our neighbors, co-workers, and friends of different colors, religions, and nationalities." Oh, like the awareness there is lit. Okay, I love the awareness there because it's true. I mean, we allow the most powerful people in the country, the real elite, to distract us with infighting rather than focusing on fighting the system that continues to suppress us, right? Max Neely, who is also part of the Redneck Revolt, says, "I grew up playing in the woods, floating coolers of beer down a river, shooting off fireworks, just generally raising hell, all that kind of stuff. Things most people would consider a part of redneck culture. We're trying to acknowledge the ways we've made mistakes and bought into white supremacy and capitalism, but also give ourselves an environment in which it's okay to celebrate redneck culture. Do you, boo?
Yeah. And you don't have to be from any particular place to be a progressive. And these guys actually, in a lot of ways, sound more progressive or more liberal than I am, certainly, because, I think capitalism's okay. It depends on how you do it. Not crony capitalism and not corporatism, right? But he's right, of course. Just because you're in the South doesn't mean that you should buy into what they tell you Southerners need to think. Right. And he's right that it's as old as time itself. That if you're in a bad spot, somebody above you will tell you, don't look up, look down.
That's right.
They'll tell you your problems are down below. And they'll tell you that the powerless are the ones that cause your problems, not the powerful. It's meant to distract you so you never solve your actual problems. Because they're up, they're not down. And so if these guys recognize that as they seem to, God bless their hearts.
Yep. All right, that's it.
Okay, in the post-game, apparently, even more anger from Anarchist.
No, not anger. I want to share a story of where a good deed did not go unpunished.
So it got punished.
It got punished. It got punished hard.
All right.
Just want to share it with the audience.
Okay, that sounds chipper. Okay. Remember,
I'm not angry, though.
Not angry. TYTnetwork.com/join. Again, it's free month if you sign up now. That's promo code free TYT.
Carriage
so
Doctor
we'll see all you guys
is now
there.
up to
Okay?
date.
Bye.